So it's sort of like, have you guys seen this meme? Have you guys heard of Boston Dynamics?
Oh, yeah.
Yes, yeah. So this poor thing's getting kicked around all the time, right? And you know, they're slaving around in the office, just booting around. And the whole point is sort of like, okay, look, cruelty against robots. Say no. But they're making them walk on rocks and that sort of thing, right? And, you know, you're starting to empathize with these creatures. You know, hockey sticks pushing them back.
Peter.
And he's trying to pick up a box. And like, why would you do that? Why would you do that? Yeah, and then there's the drone war, the bot wars, right? The robot wars is happening. So yeah, violence against sort of robots. We say no. Yeah, for the interest of time, I'll probably skip over a couple of the other videos I've got on IBM Watson. Have you guys heard about IBM Watson? Yes. So yeah, great marketing team from IBM. You know, we're working with them at Deloitte as well. We're exploring the sort of use cases. But I tell you what, it's been the last 2 years I have seen ad after ad after ad. You know, it was a where is the product, right? So finally they've seen they come up with IBM Bluemix, and Trevor over there has been sort of working alongside, and it's pretty much using APIs to unleash all the things that the supercomputer did back when it won Jeopardy against the world champions. So what's Watson done since then? It's you know, invested $1 billion into the ecosystem for startups to play around with those APIs. They've bought out, you know, Truven Health Analytics. So it's $2.6 billion acquisition to take up all that health data, because health data is equal to, you know, monetizing down the track and looking at how you can cure cancer. And this is why I love AI, because it is a potential solution to all the world's problems. It is the cognitive side, and you know, if we can do what Peter Simpson-Young did, is understand the human brain and then complement it with the artificial intelligence, we can do a lot of cool things. And this thing over here is called a cognitoid. Have you guys seen the cognitoid before? It's pretty much like, you know, imagine a Barbie doll that starts talking back and forth with your child, right? It learns its personality, it teaches stuff. It's kind of creepy, right? But that technology is here today. You know, you can order on Kickstarter, and it sort of does natural language processing, understands the personality of your child, tells it things from Wikipedia, right? So you've got to make sure you censor a lot of the things that are out there. But that's available. You know, the doctors are pretty much using it to complement what they do. You know, there's tens of thousands of articles being released out there every day. There's not a single person that can keep up with all of that. So artificial intelligence amplifies human intelligence. That's what it's being used for today. There's a few, you know, other applications that are being used there. We'll go through later today. And it's a huge partnership with Apple at the moment. So it's going to come up with some beautiful products down the track. So all of this sort of advances in innovations in artificial intelligence, really, you know, it came about. There's been AI winters. Have you guys heard of the AI winters? You know, back in the 80s and 90s, when, you know, there was a lot of hype and nothing really happened. Well, there's a big breakthrough back in 2012, right, using a technique called deep learning. And essentially what deep learning does is allow you to have these sort of high-level abstractions using multiple processing layers. So those neural networks that Peter Simpson-Young was talking about before, this is sort of trying to mimic what the brain is structurally trying to do, but not exactly, right? You know, we have no idea what the brain is, like you said. So basically it comes down to sort of a computer sees an image, all it sees is sort of pixels, and then converts that into numbers, zeros and ones, right? So what it does is one layer might look at, say, this is an edge, right? Because it's an edge of a nose, edge of an eye, an edge in an image. And the next level of abstraction is saying, okay, look, that's an eye, that's a nose, there's some teeth there, some nostrils there, big eyebrows, and the next abstraction is a face. So then, eventually, you have these multiple layers that come up with deep face. So it recognizes your face across all the photos that's been put into the database, and it's automatically tagging you in the photos that you've, you know, have given permission to be tagged in. All right, so that's deep learning for you. That's you know, it applies to image recognition, but also speech, into speech to text, and also natural language. So yeah, look at those reductions in errors, right? So in language itself, right, and also image itself. Since 2012, there was an ImageNet competition. Using deep learning, it's been able to reduce the error rates from 30% down to about 20%. Now it's, you know, probably below that. And you got that sort of long tail problem, but it's still, you know, at a point where it's starting to become useful. And you're seeing all the big companies starting to adopt that. Same with the you know, NLP as well. Natural language processing is just reducing that error rate down the track. This bad boy here is the machine intelligence landscape. I think you've been to some of the science party presentations. This is the talk I was giving about this whole landscape of all the startups that have been using AI to do cool stuff. Right? Someone from Bloomberg Beta came up with this. Her name is Siobhan Zillis. So she is doing a lot of research for investors, and she's broken up sort of the innovations in different areas like agents, autonomous systems, the enterprise, platforms, industries, more industries, and then there's the tech user tools that some of you guys might be familiar with. So I'm just going to go through them one by one and maybe shed some light on what's happening out there. The agents, so you've got the professional, personal, and the OS interfaces. So how many of you guys have seen Her, the movie? Yeah? Pretty good movie, right? So if you guys haven't, I'm just going to play this in the background, but so it's about a story that falls in love with this operating system. Right, and the guy is in a world where everyone is is no longer connecting at the human level. But you're seeing this in real life today. So in Japan there's a game called Rinko. Have you guys heard of Rinko? So it is a virtual girlfriend that the Japanese have on their devices. Right, so they're looking at saying that most people actually prefer the virtual girlfriend over the actual girlfriend. So that's the sort of society that we're moving towards, right? And they're thinking in the next 30 years, because there's going to be a lot of single people that won't actually choose the physical girlfriend or boyfriend, they're going to go with the virtual, and that's going to sort of mitigate the sort of issues we're going to have with the growing population down the track and stuff. Yeah, exactly. This one over here, X.AI, it's a virtual agent that helps you schedule meetings. So if you ever had to talk with someone saying, oh, you're free next week, next Wednesday, 2 o'clock, 5 o'clock, what do you want to eat? That will automatically schedule that with your counterpart by copying in Amy, which is the virtual assistant there. Howdy's a bot on Slack that can keep track of calendars as well. There's a whole bunch of other ones there. We're all familiar with Siri, Cortana, Google Now. Well, Cortana, maybe just Saksham over there who uses a Windows phone. Do you have any Windows phone here users? No? Oh, great, you guys should talk. That's great. yeah. But they're all of these AI tools coming on board to help out with those real pain points of having personal and professional lives. Okay, autonomous systems. Everyone's seen a driverless car, I presume. It's all been out there. That's the Google car. The corporate guy's going, what the hell is this going over here? So this relies on so many things to do with artificial intelligence, right? And that's still in built. Being able to detect pedestrians that have to come across, getting used to the rules. There's a company here called Mobileye that sort of retrofits existing cars to become smart and allow those driverless cars to run. And obviously you've seen sort of drone technology happening around, being able to just fly around without having to bomb around. So as part of the the driverless car technologies here, you're looking at phase 1 where you have sort of passive autonomous driving. So you might have cruise control or automatic lane change or Tesla's autopilot. That's phase 1. It's looking at from now. Phase 2 is sort of limited driver substitution. So you might pass down on the wheel and it'll just continue to drive for you and you won't die. The next one is sort of between 2018 to 2022, which is complete autonomous capability. So we're looking at where you can actually let the car do everything that that person can do in driving. But obviously you've got to have an issue with adoption. So they think that in a couple of decades, phase 4 is 100% autonomous penetration. You have a utopian society where no one gets killed by cars anymore. And these are the players out here. So Tesla, Mercedes, they're all have to play in the game, and that's sort of what's coming in the next few decades. So there's a couple of other ones on artificial general intelligence. Anyone heard of artificial general intelligence? Yeah. So this is the creepy stuff, right? This is Skynet, Terminator, right? Have you ever heard of DeepMind? You guys seen DeepMind? No. Yeah. So DeepMind has just beat the European champion of Go. Apparently, this wasn't expected for another decade, but they did it, and it's pretty much just been given the visual inputs, the ability to move around, and it just learned how to do it. But it's a hybrid system. What Dennis Harvis here, the founder of DeepMind, has also done is play Atari games. Have you guys seen the video where it just learns how to play Atari games like Breakout just by letting this artificial general intelligence play. So after like a few hundred hours, it becomes a better person and it figures out all these better techniques. There's a couple of other players, OpenAI, you heard from what Elon Musk has invested in to sort of make sure that this AI is also done in a sort of, careful way, making sure that there's no access to nuclear weapons or making sure that it's for the better of the humanity. I'm not sure if there's Asimov three laws of robotics is going to apply because it's going to get around to it. There's also Vicarious. Who's done the CAPTCHA? Have you seen the CAPTCHA code? Right, so that's broken it. So now, anytime you do a CAPTCHA, imagine just going, why the hell am I even bother to do that? Because this artificial intelligence can do it for you. And that's why you have this button called "I'm not a robot" now in Google. Crap, what do we do when AI has already broken everything we can tripped up? So there's all these sort of news breaks and Envision, there's Clarify, who I think it was one of the ImageNet in 2014. There's a lot of developments. MetaMind as well as a startup from Stanford. We try to engage it through Deloitte as well. But these guys, they're all using current technologies. So everyone's being empowered by current technologies without having to go to the hurdles of going through a big corporation. So that's why this is this deluge of all the startups out there. The next one we've got, so finance, legal, and healthcare, right? So anyone got jobs in any of those industries? I know I do. I'm in tax and accounting, that sort of thing. So to give you a couple of examples of finance, recently Ben Goetzel, who's probably one of the smartest people in the world, has a startup company that uses artificial intelligence to apply to his hedge fund. So they're based in Hong Kong, and even after he dies, this thing will still keep trading. It'll just keep on making money, hopefully, right? It's essentially just looking at, historically it's actually worked quite well, but instead of just the algo trading, it's taking in the new context and it's learning as it goes. And I tell you what, it's going to beat a lot of the Wall Street guys because you've seen, have you guys all seen The Big Short, right? Yeah, so this thing will own all those guys that are doing that. Blue Jay Legal is one of the startups in Canada, and it's been able to do a tax job, typically $15,000. It did it in 2 minutes, right? So you have an entirely sort of self-service model where you no longer have to pay those high hourly rates from guys like Deloitte. So you can actually get these guys to do it for you, which is why we're interested in it, right? Healthcare is huge, right? Like I talked about earlier, these doctors can't keep up. And DeepMind recently just announced that they're going to help as well. So on top of IBM Watson Health, which is investing billions of dollars in that department, DeepMind is playing that too. So eventually you're going to get these autonomous doctors coming around. You get automated diagnoses, and then on top of the devices from the makerspaces, you're going to have instant diagnosis of whatever problems you might have. So that's just a dream, but hopefully we can help make that come true in future days to come. Machine learning, so there's lots of open source tools now. So Google's TensorFlow, you guys all heard of TensorFlow? No? Yeah, some? Maybe. There's also Yahoo trying to get in the game as well, right? There's apparently they're trying to get their cafe on Spark as well. Microsoft, so all these sort of guys are getting on board with the open source movement. Now, Baidu's Andrew Ning did have his suspicions about it, so if it's really open source, then you wouldn't try to lock in who uses in that platform. So, if the motive is to actually help the industry as a whole, then that's great. But like Peter Simpson-Young was talking about it earlier, the open BCI movement, now everyone has an even playing field. Any startup can get in, start tinkering with this sort of thing, and try to come up with the next That'd be really cool. And back on this graph, this is Ray Kurzweil's law of accelerating returns. Anyone familiar with this? Wow, you guys are probably tired of putting your hands up now, right? So this is all about how do you see, when something becomes an information technology, it starts growing exponentially. So it could be doubling every 18 months, like Moore's law, or it could be doubling every 2 or 3 years. But eventually, when it does become an information technology, it'll just keep on growing that trajectory. We've gone through the agricultural revolution. 8,000 years later, industrial revolution. 120 years later, we got the light bulb. Now, 90 years, we got the moon landing. 22 years, World Wide Web. 9 years, the human genome got sequenced, right? So this is a very exciting time to be in. And with the transhumanism, we're hoping that 2045 with singularity capable, artificial intelligence actually surpasses that of all the humans who have ever lived on the planet ever, right? So I hope he's right. He's got a pretty good accuracy rate, so hopefully he continues to do so. And Scott's gone through the hype cycle, so the natural language processing side of things and AI was probably at the peak of the hype a year ago. So we're still getting there, but there's going to be a lot of crashes and burns before we get to that slope of enlightenment. Right? So take all of this with a grain of salt. So I help out with the Center for the Edge guys. They're looking at all those cool things. We've got a partnership with Singularity University, so hoping to bring those guys down in September. SpaceX, or more AR stuff, the HoloLens, look at blockchain and Calico, which is Google's sort of health life sciences division, that have got acquired and looking at how to do anti-aging research. I mean, Watson, the Hyperloop, you guys all heard of the Hyperloop? Yeah, it would be great to get a Hyperloop between Sydney and Melbourne, right? Or Wollongong for that matter. It'd be like 1 minute. The Apple cars, hopefully they'll come around. But it's an exciting time to be in. If you want to find out more about artificial intelligence, check out transhumanism.com.au/AI. If you like what you see tonight, you can get more of these around more often. If you like the pizzas and beers, chuck a donation on the website and help support the science party, attend the augmented reality shows, talk to market clarity, right, and the biohackers and basic incomes. There's so much more you can do. I'm glad we're all here today. So just leave you with this: be kind to AI, because one day, just one day, right, you never know, right? Okay, thanks guys.